Hello, Mike Starks with RE/MAX Town and Country here, bringing you the real estate market report for Fredericksburg and Gillespie County for the third quarter of 2018. And as I usually do, let's just jump straight into the numbers. The total sales volume for the county in the third quarter was up over 2017. For the third quarter of this year, we've sold about $64 million in total sales. And in 2017, we'd sold about $62 million in total sales for the third quarter. So that's a modest increase of about 2.4% in the total number of dollars sold for July through September this year as compared to last year. And that's really great to see because the first two quarters of 2018 were actually down a little bit compared to 2017. Now, if we look at the first three quarters of the year combined, so January 1st to September 30th, for 2018, we've sold about $187 million, and you compare that to the same period in 2017, where we'd sold about $209 million. That's about a 10.6% decrease in the total sales volume. And we see the same thing with the total number of properties being sold. In 2018, we'd sold about 446 properties, and in 2017, we'd sold 468 properties in the first three quarters. So that's down about 4.8%. So again, really happy to see a strong third quarter for this year. Now let's switch gears to what folks are always asking me about, and that's what's happening with home sales in Fredericksburg. And here we're talking about in the city limits. For the first three quarters of the year, we are way ahead of last year in total sales volume as well as the total number of homes being sold. So far for this year, January through September, we've sold about $70 million. And in 2017, for the same period, we'd sold a little over $64 million. So that's about a 10% increase in the total dollars sold for in-town homes this year as compared to last. The total number of homes sold this year is at 194, and you compare that to 2017, total number of homes sold was 176 for the first three quarters. So again, here we're seeing about a 10% increase in the total number of homes being sold. So great news, and we're certainly selling a lot of homes this year. But when we get to the prices, we have a little bit of a different story. The average home price for Fredericksburg in 2017 ended at an all-time high of $386,000. And right now, for the first three quarters of this year, the average home price is sitting at $364,000. So we're down about 4.7% in the average home price, and that's also reflected in the average price per foot, with 2017's average ending at $209 a foot, and this year we're currently at $206 a foot. So we've seen a little bit of a pullback in prices, but as I mentioned in the mid-year report, I still think by year's end we'll probably end up being pretty much even with last year. And this pullback in pricing is really a trend we're seeing nationally right now. Of course, there's lots of factors that contribute to this, including a higher interest rate environment. But one thing I'm thinking is really making a difference just across the nation is, I believe nationally, home prices have just gone up so quick, including in Fredericksburg in the last 5 years, that income has just really not been able to keep up with the home prices. And this has made it almost impossible for first-time home buyers to get into the market. And first-time home buyers kind of create like a trickle-up effect, meaning that when the first-time home buyer buys, he's likely going to buy a house from someone who plans to move up when they sell that house. And that guy is in turn going to buy another house from another guy who's probably going to move up when he sells his house, and so on. But with that first-time buyer sitting on the sidelines, it's really slowing everybody down, including that million-dollar buyer. So I really think we can look at this slowdown in appreciation rates kind of as a good thing for overall health of the market in Fredericksburg and really across the nation. So let's move on to raw land sales. Here we've seen a pretty big decrease, 27.6% down in the total sales volume for the first three quarters of this year. So again, January through September. So far this year, we've sold about $47 million worth of raw land, and in 2017, we'd sold about $64 million during the same period. Now, what's the cause of this? I'm really not sure I'm ready to give an opinion or a reason for that. but I'll say it's at least likely in part due to limited inventory of quality tracts out there. And also keep in mind 2017 was really a record year with very strong land sales in Gillespie County with big increases across the board. Now, fortunately, in the land sales department, even with the substantial decrease in the total dollars sold, we've not really seen any huge fluctuation in the price per acre. Looking at the average price per acre for all land sales in the county this year, right now, again, January through September, our average price per acre is at $9,701, which is down a little from last year's all-time high of $10,389. And in some segments of the market, like smaller tracts of land, we're really seeing a lot of increase this year, such as like a 1 to 5 acre tract. This year has jumped to an all-time high of $52,438 per acre, which is well above last year's high of $43,555 per acre. And probably the busiest segment in the land market right now is the 10 to 25 acre tract. Here we've already seen 36 sales this year. And if you want to see all the prices per acre, you can get that off of my site, but I'm not going to get into all of those right now. Another quick talking point that I wanted to get into is often I'm asked about how many properties in Fredericksburg are not owner-occupied, so like B&Bs or second homes. And we don't really have a great way to track that, non-owner-occupied homes. But about 5 years ago, I'd gotten with the chief appraiser, and Mr. Fair provided me with how many homes have homestead exemptions. And as you know, the only reason you would not have a homestead exemption on a property and save taxes would be as if that house is not your primary residence. And 5 years ago, when the last time I actually checked on this number, homestead properties was at about 50.8%, and non-homestead properties for the whole county were at 49.2%. So that was almost right at half of the homes in the county were likely not the primary residence. So I just got those numbers again for 2018, and I was surprised the number of owner-occupied homes seems to have gone up. Currently for the county, homes with homestead exemption is at 59.2%. So the number of owner-occupied homes is up about 8.4% across the entire county. And even more surprising is the majority of the owner-occupied homes are in the city limits. In the city, 63.2% of homes are homesteaded. And then outside the city, homestead properties are at 57.8%. So even with all these new B&Bs and short-term rentals, we're actually seeing an increase in the owner occupancy. So as always, you can find all these statistics on my site. If you're watching on Facebook, you can hit the little Learn More button below. Also, if you just want to keep up with the Gillespie County market, you can like my Facebook page, and I usually post my quarterly reports here. And if you want to visit about any of this information, feel free to give me a call. So I guess that's it for this time. See you soon.